Shoes can be overwhelming. Should it be matte, eggshell, semi-gloss, satin? Selecting the right color can make or break your hamper or your room.
Joining us to help with all your painting dilemmas is the author of the Paint Diva Method, a practical guide to choosing paint colors for every room in your home. That would be the Paint Diva herself, Cindy Gelabini. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
We jest, but we don't.
Yes.
Okay. Why does choosing a paint color put so many of us into a tailspin?
Well, because people are afraid of making a mistake. Right, so one time I had a woman that said to me, I was going for a soft buttery yellow, but it looks like somebody threw up lemons all over my wall. What's the problem? Or choosing the right shade of white. Everybody wants white, and then they go into the paint store, and there's 100 different shades of white. It's all about the undertones, and that's what I try to teach people. There's
You
undertones.
said it to begin with. I thought I messed the bill over here. I'm probably jumping ahead.
No.
But tell us about those undertones. What are we looking for? What do they bring out?
All right, so I'm a professional color consultant, and the first thing I do when I go to somebody's home is I give them a 2-second color lesson, and I show them about the undertones, and it's all about warm and cool. Thank you.
So you teach folks about color and the undertones, because there is no true white. There's
correct, and most people want neutral, and neutral is either gray, beige, or grayish. Right, which is in the middle, So a cool gray is what you see over here. It's silvery, it leans toward a little on the blue side. And daylight is cool and blue. A lot of people need to know that, so we can turn colors a little on the blue
that's
side.
The color of our wall.
And this matches your jacket.
There we go. So that would be,
it's a cool gray with blue undertones to it.
Coventry.
Okay. And then this is a beige, but in the middle is a grayish, and that's kind of what's really popular right now is these grayish, the warmer tones. So we've kind of moved away from these darker, cooler grays, and now we're in the warmer grayish tones.
Okay. But color's only part of it.
Right, correct. And then this is where you start getting a little bit more subtle. This is when we move into the off-whites. Now we've got the cools and the warms, but it's a little harder to see, so I sort of bring them step by step. Okay? And the reason that it matters is because when you're trying to match things. So what I do is I match colors to what I see in the room. So I brought a pillow just to represent a couch. Let's say you want to match the couch, right? And let's say you see Revere pewter in your friend's house, and you say, oh, I love Revere pewter, it's great, right? But then you bring it home, and here's Revere pewter, and here's your couch, and then
don't get me started.
Stop it.
Which one is the top?
Doesn't work.
Top, bottom, or middle?
We can't be friends if that's what you're going to do.
The darkest one.
Right, and it doesn't work.
Look at that.
So what I do is I'll bring my fan deck, right, and then I'll bring it over here, and I will match, and I'll come to find out
do you
that
walk
the closest
streets
one.
with this thing in your
I do.
bag?
I have 8 of these that I keep
in your
my
bag.
Yeah.
Oh, look, she marked the colors.
They go with me everywhere I go.
So this is fantastic here.
Yep.
Look at that. That matches perfectly.
Wow.
Now listen, I get the tailspin though. Because I'm a little overwhelmed right now. You started me with like 3 swaths from the store.
Wait,
and
I'll
then
show you 3,000. Wait.
I went from addition to calculus.
And
you broke this out.
now let's talk about the finish. That's really going to send us over the edge.
Yes.
Because paint is just one thing.
Yes. So we'll talk about the finish. So
go
there's a couple of different finishes that are available. There's flat, matte, eggshell. Right, but let's just keep it basic. Let's just keep it to those 3. Flat, matte, eggshell. Okay, this is the sheen. This is what we're talking about. So flat looks very chalky and flat, and it's not that washable. I've seen people try to use a magic eraser on their walls, and they're pretty much scrubbing the paint right off the wall. Okay, so I really only use flat on the ceiling, and in a room that maybe you don't use, like a formal living room. Right, or a guest bedroom.
I don't have one of those rooms.
My formal living room is also my living room and my kitchen.
Yeah, right. And then there's eggshell, which everybody always
That's popular, right?
Has a little bit of a sheen to it, right? Very washable. But that kind of was replaced about 15 years ago by matte, which falls right in the middle. So I always tell people matte looks flat, but it's washable. And that's the finish that I use everywhere. Even in bathrooms, you can use matte now because they make paint that it comes in a matte finish and it has mildew side in it, which is great. It kills the mold and mildew in the bathroom. So
no shiny.
You don't have to have shiny, no. The only time I use shiny walls is, say, a kitchen that doesn't have a backsplash. And water and grease are splattering on the walls, right? Or a bathroom with kids with toothpaste on the walls and things. Maybe those will get an eggshell. But
okay, I need this one here because I feel like this was the first thing we did, and so many people do this. You say, don't put the colors on the wall next. Get those 3 samples. And put them next. What? I thought that was like.
I thought that's a rite of passage.
Yeah. So there's a couple of mistakes that I see. The first one is that people line up the samples all on the wall, and I see 20 samples when I walk in. And what happens when you line them up like that? you hate all of them because the undertones are drawn out, okay? And it's like, oh, that one's blue, that one's purple, you don't like it. The other mistake is the wall color that's behind. So I brought this as a sort of a sample wall, and let's say that you're trying a cool gray on a yellow wall. Oh, it looks blue.
It changes.
All of a sudden it looks blue. So then I'll get a phone call from my client and say, it's not gray, it's blue. Why is it blue? And I said, well, it's because you put it on a yellow wall.
Because you didn't listen to me.
It's because you're mixing the warm and the cools, right? Yeah. So the color on the wall affects how your samples are going to look.
All right,
That's
here's
the
the
first
thing.
problem.
Here's the thing.
Holy
Follow on social media because we're going to talk about color drenching. We're out of time right now.
Okay.
But we're
Color
going to talk
drenching.
about it. So make sure you follow New York Living on social media. We'll talk about that and post that up there.
Are
at the
you
latest
coming to
drench.
paint my living room?
If
you are, you gotta bring her.
Want me to do
Also,
it.
pick up a copy of Cindy's book wherever books are sold, and make sure you check out her TV show on Home Inspo TV. Man, you're smart. Gosh. All right, Stella had some perfect recipes you can cook for